A very warm welcome to my new kitchen. I am so excited to tell you that. It's been a journey. 8 years ago I started my YouTube channel, bouncing from Airbnbs to studio kitchens which cost a fortune, just trying to make it work. And now I finally have a space that I can call my own. Let me show you around. All right guys, so let's talk about, first up, I guess, the actual cabinets. Now, I was deliberating for such a long time over what I was going to do in terms of the cabinets, because over the past few years I've been, as I said, bouncing from Airbnb to apartment, and it was never my own kitchen. I never was able to put my stamp on anything. And the kitchens that I inherited were often traditional or just standard sort of fitted kitchens, and I don't think there was a huge amount of love put into each one of them. So for example, the materials would peel, or the wood would sort of rot in the corner of the cabinets, and sometimes it wasn't even wood, it was just like a weird fibrous MDF material, and the kickboards would fall down. It really put me off fitted kitchens. So for a long time I was thinking about actually sourcing individual antique pieces of furniture and then just piecing them together to create surface area and cabinets and whatnot. And I really wanted to do that, but after scouring the internet and markets and things like that, it just became so overwhelming for me. And I was actually really stressed about it for a long time, because at the end of the day, guys, this is my office, this is where I work to create the content, and it has to be perfect for my dream kitchen that I was building. It was like 3 years planning just to get this space built. So anyway, what I ended up doing was going down the fitted kitchen route for these cabinets, but I went to a local kitchen maker called Harrison & Pope, who make the kitchens by hand locally. And I went to their showroom and actually heard the kitchens being made, and I was like, right, I felt them in the showroom. I just knew that these were quality kitchens. So I'm so happy I ended up doing it with them, and they actually made this whole back area, so all of these cabinets and the shelf. And this is a very sort of traditional look to a kitchen, with the shelf and the pegs and the handles, because I wanted something that was future-proof and that could stand the test of time. I didn't want anything super modern or sci-fi. That's what I call modern stuff, sci-fi. It's not the right term, but I didn't want anything that was just going to go out of date in a few years. I wanted something classic and timeless that would fit with all of my pieces that I've collected over the years. And the great thing with Harrison & Pope was that I could literally tell them where I wanted a drawer, where I wanted a cupboard, which meant that gone were the days where if any of my friends or people visiting my house opened up a drawer, I wouldn't be embarrassed, because I was for so long. So for example, now my spice drawer is absolutely, it makes me so happy just opening it. And it makes things so much more efficient. And when I'm cooking, I just feel like I'm in the zone. And that's the beauty of having this space now. I can be fully creative, and it's such a joy creating new recipes and cooking in here. Already in the first few weeks of having this kitchen, I've created some mouth-watering dishes that you'll be able to see soon, from making my own pasta to making the most incredible celeriac dish, all coming soon. But it's just a joy to be in here. And the one thing that's so important with my job and film and video and photo is lighting. So that's what I want to talk about next. So, what I could have done is had a load of long, big glass panels, but for me again that would be very sort of modern, and I wanted that traditional look. So I opted for a smaller window just in front of my sink so I can look out at the chickens, which is always very fun, in my garden, and these big roof light windows which let in floods of light so that it's perfect for filming and for video and just food in general. It makes me want to come into this space. I think, you know, going forward now, wherever I live, if I don't live here forever, that is, I'll always dedicate, you know, a lot of attention to finding a place with lots of natural light. I think that's so important to me. I'm learning that. All right, so what makes me so happy actually is this sink, and I told Harrison and Pope, the kitchen cabinet makers, that I needed a big sink. My last sink that I had in the kitchen that I inherited was so small that it just made it so difficult to wash up, and now I got this big one. I could almost have a bath in this. I may do one day just because I love the kitchen so much. And then along with it, this sort of antique brass. I wanted this kitchen to look like it'd been cooked in and used for years and years and years prior to me being here. And having things like this antique brass is, I mean, it just gives it that look. And also, I've been collecting sort of plates and bowls and little props for such a long time now. If you come and have a look at this. So these make me so happy. These are old pottery boards. So from the north of England, I think. Basically, in old potters, they would form their clay pots on the pottery wheel and then put their pots to dry on these boards, and they had years and years and years of use of them. And I got them from an amazing home store called Bailey's, and I gave them to my builder to use as a windowsill, and he looked at me all confused because he thought, why do you want these tatty old boards? But the look of them, it just looks aged and it gives me that texture, and I love, love, love texture so much. And I've been collecting plates and bowls and ornaments from markets for so many years now, and I've always dreamt of having a place where I can put them and they just look at home. And I feel like just looking at these plates with my homegrown beetroots in and the bowls there, just looks like it's meant to be, and that makes me so happy. I love the little things in life, the nice things in life. I like nice things, as David Beckham, the great philosopher, once said. But it's important to me. I think that's what life's all about, is expressing that creativity and reusing things. So I'm very grateful of those sort of old boards and the antique brass tap. Oh, it makes me so happy, guys. This is really great. And I found some bargains along the way too when looking at reused stuff, and I've been on Facebook Marketplace and going to markets a lot. And the one thing I did find an absolute bargain was this big mirror. What am I on about? I mean window. Gosh, had a late night last night. But anyway, that window is from Facebook Marketplace, an old stained glass window. I got it for £180, and the original window that was going to be put in there was going to have to be handmade to find one that size and circular. It was going to cost over £2,000. So, oh my God, the more sort of old pieces that I can reuse, the better. And I'm so grateful for that window. It adds a little bit of character, which is great. And talking of Facebook Marketplace, I actually picked up this island on there. This is a over 100-year-old French antique shop counter. So it's not a traditional island, but the island was a bit of a headache for me. I knew that I wanted something reclaimed and old to sort of just work nicely with the new cabinets. And I found this island on Facebook Marketplace, and I think that rusticness of it with the paint chipping and the dark wood on top really sets off nicely with everything else behind me. It's a little bit low than I would like, really. I could prop it up, but I think for now I'm gonna use it, and we'll see what happens in the future, whether I'll keep this island. What do you guys think of it? Do you think this is a good look for the kitchen? I love the color actually of it on the front. So yeah, another great Facebook Marketplace find. I'm so grateful for Facebook Marketplace actually. But actually, non-virtual markets I often go to all the time. So in-person markets, antique flea markets, you will see me at them, because that's where you get a bargain. And things were made with so much more care and attention years and years ago as they are nowadays, unfortunately, other than this kitchen by Harrison and Pope, I must say. But Often you'll see bowls that are over 100 years old in my videos that I didn't spend a huge fortune on, but they're quality and they have texture and they have life and they have stories locked within them. And that's the story of this whole kitchen actually. You know, this painting here, it's actually over 100 years old. And you know, most people may say that it looks a bit tatty now that it's torn and things like that. But to me, that's the rustic charm and it's absolutely sensational. Talking of bargains and antiques, these copper pans actually, I found at a market, all 4 of them for £15. I think that's the beauty of going to markets. And, you know, I go there with a list actually of things that I need, and copper pans to hang behind my stove were on the list. And I'll come to the stove in a minute because I got a great story about that. But this little tin I picked up at a market years ago, I can't even remember how long ago, but it's just been sitting around and just waiting to be put on a shelf like this and be celebrated. And I don't know what year that came from, but it just makes me happy. And the jars, I've always dreamt of having jars like this filled with my ingredients. Oh, it sounds nice with the rain coming down now. You know, I make my teas in the morning. I got my chamomile and my lemon balm and my lavender, and it's just, I feel like I've got that apothecary vibe. I love old school apothecaries and herbalism in general, hence why I got this old sign there. And soon, with these beautiful pegs, I'll have all of my homegrown ingredients hanging on there. I've got actually some homegrown sage and calendula and garlic there at the minute, but eventually in the summertime, these pegs will be utilized for drying my ingredients, and it'll make the kitchen like seasonal almost. With whatever's in season at the minute, you'll see it hanging. So let's talk about this stove. Oh my word. I've always dreamt of having a big stove like this, and this one is made by Ilve, an Italian stove maker, and they just make the most dreamy stoves. My analogy for this is like a pianist's grand piano. This is my grand piano. It's got so many hobs. I don't even know what to do with them all, but I'm probably going to have to do a dinner party soon where I'm utilizing them all, and I can have a pan on each one. I'm cooking up some amazing food. So as soon as I get a dinner table, that's coming soon, I'll do a big dinner party using this amazing stove. But right now I'm just using the front ones. But this stove is beautiful. I love the colorway with the brass and the silver. It just works well with everything. And the colors in here are very neutral and earthy. That's what I was trying to go for. And lots of people, in response to the Instagram video I made about my kitchen, said, oh, where on earth is your splashback? You're going to get stuff all over the wall. They could be true. Initially, I was going to have old chopping boards like this stacked up against it. But because of this sort of upstand here, they don't really fit behind it. So I'm gonna work on that. But right now I'm using the front hobs. I have used the back hobs, but I'm not tossing things in a pan at the back there. So there's very little chance of anything splashing on there. And worst case scenario, I would just set up a board there or just repaint it if anything was to happen. But we'll address that maybe in the future if I feel like I need a splashback. So Ilve, thank you so much. That is a work of art and it just completes the kitchen. I'm so over the moon with it. It is just amazing. It's a pleasure to work in here. I get my little coffee pot in the mornings. I put that on there and it's just amazing. I feel so grateful for this space. I feel so creative in here and I've longed for that. You know, it's been actually hard to create and be creative in the previous kitchen I had, and cooking outside for the last 3 years is so challenging, especially when you're filming. So being in here now and having this freedom is just the most amazing thing. I'm so grateful for it. That's what life is all about for me, cooking and creating, and I can finally do it. And the lighting is just, it's just beautiful. All right, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is a real luxury and a game changer for me. In the kitchen that I inherited from the previous owners of this house, they left behind a tap that I just thought was a sink and a tap, but what I realized is actually a boiling water tap. It wasn't this one. This one is made by the incredible Kettle, a British brand that makes 100 degrees Celsius boiling water on tap. So for me, you know, when I'm cooking, especially when I'm filming, there's not much time to wait for things. It's almost like being back in the professional kitchens and having to serve up food as quickly as possible. So having boiling water on tap and not having to wait for a kettle to boil is such a game changer. It is a privilege, and it's just unbelievable. It also has an option for filtered water too. So drinkable filtered water takes out all the chemicals, and that is amazing for me. So having this is an absolute joy. Thank you for Kettle. Just whilst we're here, I just want to shout out to my beautiful Peugeot old coffee grinder, another amazing find at the market. And again, this actually works. I put my coffee beans in here and I grind it and I make a coffee. So the old stuff is old, but it's well made. And look at that painting. That's another old ancient painting that I found at the market for an affordable price. We need to start going to markets way more. So into here, this is a little walkway out to the garden, so out to my vegetable garden. Imagine me in a few months' time when my gardens thrive and I'm coming in with my basket of goods and I can wash them and I can cook with them right away. I also have a little fridge tucked behind here too, because obviously this is a very traditional looking kitchen. I wanted to have sort of very limited technology on show, and I feel like fridges, they're very spaceshipy to me. They look like a spaceship, so I tucked it around the corner there. So that's that. I think I must mention the walls, because that's garnered a lot of interest on Instagram when I posted a video of the kitchen. So as you can see by these walls, they have so much depth and texture. And again, it goes along the lines of me not wanting this kitchen to feel like a brand new, sparkling kitchen. I wanted this to feel rustic and old and lived in, and a lot to do with that is the actual wall. This is a brand new wall, just being built, but I asked my builder if he could use some traditional plaster. So we use lime and hemp plaster, believe it or not, and I told the plasterers to apply it to the walls as if I was doing it, someone that's never plastered in their life. I wanted it to be rough and, you know, have inconsistencies and trowel marks and texture. Texture is so important to me. I love texture, from linen bed sheets to my clothing. I like real texture. So they applied it. They looked at me weirdly at first, but it came out beautifully. And then I used the most amazing lime wash paint from Bauwerk. My dad and I, mainly my dad, painted the walls. I did this wall, and with this lime wash paint, it actually gives this an amazing, you get different colors within the wall, like shades of it. It's beautiful actually, just using special technique when you're painting it with a brush. So I'm so happy with the color, and the sun's just come out on it now. This is a June, it's called, the color's called June, and I love the finish. It really looks good. It's very earthy and natural, and it reminds me of my time spent in Mexico. We filmed a documentary there, and they have the richest colors and textures in all of their buildings. We're gonna head down to my pantry stroke utility room now. So this is a dream for me to have this extra space down the back. And again, like I mentioned, this is great for me for my work, which is, you know, filming and having a prep area. So having this extra space is beautiful. We use the same paint, but a different color, more of a yellow color. And as you can see, again, this is fitted by Harrison and Pope, the kitchen. They handmade these units. And this is, you have to remember as well, because I also do pop-up restaurants and events from time to time, I have a load of equipment. So when it comes to blenders for my work, I have 3 blenders, or, you know, this cupboard is full up with, you know, all my equipment here. I have multiples of certain pieces of equipment, so I need a load of space. Sorry, I'm growing my hair and it's getting in my eyes. Anyway, again, we went for this traditional look. I haven't quite sort of filled the shelves yet. Again, I've got the old clay boards as the windowsill, and this beautiful sink that I really wanted is this almost scalloped in the front. Beautiful sink here just for washing up whilst there's filming going on, or washing my vegetables that I just picked. I use this area to make coffee, and I have a fridge in here too. What else do we talk about in here? I love the lighting in here. It's a little bit different. It does get quite moody because it's not that, there's not that bigger windows, and I'm under trees basically outside. But what I did in here recently was make raviolis and pasta, and I haven't been able to sort of feel at home in the kitchen for so long to feel like I can be adventurous and make like pasta from scratch, and being able to do that in here, roll it out long on the surface, was just amazing. I felt such a joy. And that's something that I realize, is that if you have a hobby or a passion, you need to make sure that you have a workspace or an environment that makes you feel comfortable and creative to do that passion. So whether you love to paint, make sure that you take a little time to invest the effort to set up a corner of your room or your, I don't know, in your house, just to make sure that you have that creative freedom to just feel like you can just paint and get your mind out there and be adventurous. I think creativity is what life's about, really, and getting in touch with that side. As I said, there's still bits to do in here. Eventually, as I mentioned, there will be herbs and ingredients drying everywhere. I do have a dishwasher here actually, which is very handy. And the reason I got it down the back here is because, you know, if I have to have a dishwash going, whilst I'm filming, it's less noisy down the back, and I have my washing machine so I wash my clothes. What I've realized is that modern everyday pieces of equipment, from your drying racks for clothes, they're often not well built. They're plastic, and they could break, or they just don't look the part. So I just invested in a nice wooden one that's going to last a long time, and it also, that's just a drying rack for clothes, but it looks nice in here. So I just decided to get things like that, even like my mop bucket. This will actually make me want to mop my floors because it just looks so nice and it works well with the kitchen. So I think that gone are the days where I will buy just something out of necessity. I will now always take time to consider how long how much use I'm actually gonna get out of whatever it is I'm buying, to make sure I'm buying a quality piece that looks good and also lasts a long time. Because there's so many throwaway items these days. Things break on us, but I'll try and get longer lasting things. I did just mention the floor, and a lot of people did mention it to me when I posted the video on Instagram. What is this floor? Now, this is literally just concrete, or the screed that the builders put down, and most people would just put their flooring on top, whether they want carpet or laminate flooring or wood flooring, straight on top of here. But budgets are tight, and to do this space that I needed to fill would have cost an absolute fortune. So initially I did want real nice wood flooring, but maybe later on one day in the future I'll eventually decide to put wood down. But for now, I'm just happy with this concrete look. It works all right with the rugs. All right, so that's the utility room done. This is where my big dinner table is gonna go. And I just put my rings here to do a little stretch. I'll probably have to get rid of these when I get a wife that tells me you can't have rings for doing pull-ups in the dining room. Until then, my rings are staying, all right? So anyway, big dinner tables going here, and I can't wait to get a nice big old antique dresser on this wall here. But anyway, back in the kitchen, I'm going to answer a few questions that were sent over via Instagram now about the space. I'm going to pick 5 of them. So let's have a look what was sent in. The first one actually just popped up. What's going on with your hair? I'm growing my hair. That's why it keeps getting in my eyes. So you have to bear with me. I'm at that stage where it's starting to get annoying, but fingers crossed soon I'll have luscious long locks that will be blowing in the wind in the garden. Anyway, I have another question. Where did I get the nice brown shelves from, which I didn't talk about earlier? These shelves are actually really beautiful, and they work so well in the kitchen. They're from another flea market. I found them, not expensive, and I always love the idea of having my ingredients in the jars. They're visible. As I said before, get your ingredients from sort of refill shops or in bulk, and you'll be buying less packaging, and invest in some jars and everything looks great. I think that's such a nice look for a kitchen. It actually adds character, but it's actually just what you need. It's your ingredients. So they have got to be in the kitchen somewhere. So put them in some nice jars. I got my plates from Mexico that I brought back from Mexico here, and my friend's pottery brand called Nom Living, made in Cambodia there. My amaranth that I grew last year dried out, and it's just a beautiful display. Yeah, that's where I got the shelves from. Someone called Lauren says, what's your inspiration, or where did you get it from? I think the inspiration has basically been a combination of cooking over the years, traveling and collecting old stuff from markets basically, and I just wanted a place to showcase that, and an earthy natural space that my creativity can shine. Jake says, is there any part of the kitchen you wish you could change? That's a good question. Now, you know, you always want to, there's almost, nothing can be perfect, but I'm so grateful for this space and it makes me so happy. But there's a few things that I've learned along the way, because I've never done anything like this before. I've never done proper interior designing and, you know, building a space. So probably the one thing that I would have done differently, I wish I could have got proper beautiful sash windows, which are old school windows, but they're so expensive. I kind of wish there's a bit more texture in the surfaces, but real marble and natural like marble is so expensive. So I've gone for quartz, which is really nice and it's hardy and it's not going to stain. But I just wish there was a bit more of a grain in it, a bit more graphic almost. But that's it. I'm literally overjoyed and over the moon with it. It's out of this world. It doesn't feel real. I feel like I'm going to wake up from a dream sometime soon, and this is not going to be my kitchen. I'm going to find one more question. We've got, will you be my husband? When will you visit India? I'd love to visit India. Someone says, how much? You'll have to ask the bank where I loaned the money from. What hair products do I use? I'm trying to make my own. That'll be a video coming soon, actually. I'm working on a recipe for my own, so I don't want any chemicals on my head. All right, I think we'll leave it there, because there's a lot of do you want a wife and random questions. Guys, I just want to say a huge thank you for all your support over the years. The people that were there at the very beginning, where I stood behind a kitchen counter in an Airbnb, nervous as hell, so anxious. To the people that have joined recently and everyone in between, thank you so much. It means the world. This feels a bit overwhelming for me now. The fact that I've invested in this means now I have to make it worth my while, and I have to produce a load of content and utilize it to the max so that I haven't just wasted time and money. I'm not too worried about it, because I know this space is going to bring the best out of me, and you know, I'm going to create some incredible stuff in this kitchen. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that's helped build it, from my builder, my dad for painting the walls and sanding down and, you know, doing little bits here and there, and, you know, Ilve and Harrison and Pope and Kettle and everyone else, and Bowerwork. If I've forgotten anyone, I'm so sorry. I'll put them in the comments of this video. I want to thank Tom for all his hard work, filming outside with me in treacherous conditions in the cold for so long whilst we didn't have a kitchen. So Tom, you're a legend. You can move the camera. All right, guys, we're gonna round up there. I think I've mentioned everything. You're the best. I'll see you soon. This is the new kitchen. I'm excited. Stay tuned, baby. We're gonna take over with some incredible content that you're gonna love. Let's go. Woo!